In other news, a new report by the IAEA says Iran has further increased its stockpile of uranium enriched to near weapons-grade levels. In a separate report, the nuclear watchdog called on Tehran to urgently change course and comply with its years-long probe. Iran has condemned the report as political, warning that it will implement appropriate measures in response to any effort to take action against Tehran. Well, let's get more on that with our correspondent Saeed Azimi, who's standing by. Saeed, the IAEA is clearly signaling the alarm with this report, but Iran is actually claiming to be transparent when it comes to its uranium enrichment.
Yes, Jenny, it is. And in a very rare show of unity, the Iranian Foreign Ministry and the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran issued a joint statement rebuffing the IAEA comprehensive report. And they said, as you said, that the report is political. And they also warned certain countries, quote unquote, they're referring to UK, Germany, France, and the US for pressuring the IAEA Board of Governors to issue a resolution against Iran on June 9th in the next meeting of the IAEA Board of Governors. That if they want to use this report as a political leverage, there will be appropriate consequences. Experts in Iran are saying that this could be Iran withdrawing from the NPT. And for the transparency issue, as you said, there's a dispute. There's clearly a misunderstanding between Iran and the IAEA. Iran says that it has been very transparent. The cameras are working. The IAEA inspectors have access. The IAEA is rebuffing this claim.
All right, Saeed, just stay with us for a moment because I also have with me in the studio our international affairs commentator, Doug Herbert. Hi, Doug.
How are you?
So, as Saeed said, there's a fundamental disagreement between Iran and the IAEA. But give us a lowdown of what the report actually reveals and why it's alarming.
Yeah, what's going on here, right? And which side is telling the truth or bending the truth a little more? Look. The report is alarming in the sense that if you were to take it at its letter, the IAEA, the nuclear watchdog, is saying that Iran has essentially doubled 2 times its stockpile of near bombs grade fuel to potentially build a weapon in the span of 3 months. These reports by the IAEA come out every 3 months or so. It's a quarterly thing. Their last one was in February. We're looking ahead now. We're in May. So what we're basically saying is it's gone up from, to almost over 400 kilograms now of this highly enriched uranium. What are we talking about highly enriched? Okay, none of us are nuclear scientists here. We're not rocket scientists. But in layman's terms, we're talking about purity levels. This is 60% uranium purity. Why is that significant? Because it's not a big leap if you are a bomb maker, potentially, to go from 60% purity to the purity they say is weapons grade. That's 90%. Sounds like a lot. It's not a lot in terms of actual bomb making. Right now, U.S. officials believe that Iran has, if you were to believe this report, if it is accurate, it essentially has enough near weapons grade fuel to potentially the capacity, to build a bomb, to build a bomb within a week or so, to actually make the nuclear bomb, to bring the fuel up to purity would take about a week. To actually build a bomb after that, a nuclear weapon, would take anywhere from, say, a very low end of the estimate, 6 months, up to 18 months. U.S. intelligence believes that Iranian scientists have been working on what's sort of a breakaway plan to build a much more crude type of device, to have the capacity to do that. That could be in as little as a couple of months, so a much shorter time frame. That's why it's alarming. But beyond that, the report also talks about the fact that it seems that Iran has been holding back, not being totally upfront about their past history of its secret, as the report sees it, the nuclear watchdog, of what they called secret nuclear activities and using undeclared nuclear materials, that is undeclared to the UN, in the past in a program that had been investigated over 20 years ago. This isn't new news, but the extent to which they're discovering the scope of what they think are these perhaps hidden programs and this real quick enriching to high purity. That's what's alarming people.
So then what do the findings of this report mean for talks with the U.S. going forward?
They raise the tensions a lot, right? Donald Trump had just in the past few days actually, basically pushed back a little bit on Netanyahu, who's been very much pressing to wipe out Iran's nuclear capacity. Israel has been, and its far-right government has been very much in the camp. You can't trust Iran, doesn't want, deal-making to be done, doesn't really trust Iran to stick to any deal that's potentially reached, says that now is the time that the U.S. and Israel need to exploit a moment of weakness in Iran and really get to the heart of the question, which is knock out its nuclear potential. So Israel, its government, would much more favor what it would see as a quick way to deal with this, and that is in the form of nuclear strikes. Donald Trump has been trying to sort of talk down Netanyahu, say, not so fast. We can get a deal done. And believe me, a deal that I would negotiate would be a deal that you could trust, Benjamin Netanyahu, a deal that would make sure that Israel faces no threat from Iran. Now, whether or not, these two men are going to sort of see eye to eye on this and Israel is going to hold off, that's why there's a lot of pressure around this right now. There's been a lot of military tension, the threat of escalation, and from Iran's perspective, the threat that it is going to be hit hard at some point by Israel. So, yeah, it's going to make these negotiations a lot harder right now. It raises the stakes in the negotiations. It perhaps lowers the bar of trust in these negotiations going ahead in the next days and weeks.
Doug, thank you very much indeed for that. Saeed, if you're listening in, I'm going to just bring you back in because the Omani foreign minister was in Tehran today. Does that trip have anything to do with the IAEA report?
Well, Jenny, we can't say for sure, but the timing is certainly interesting. The Omani foreign minister, as you said, was in Tehran. We don't know when, or before or after the report was released, but we know that he was only here in Tehran for an hour or two. It was a very brief visit, and he handed to his Iranian counterpart what the Iranian foreign minister said, that were elements of a U.S. proposal in writing that Tehran is going to assess and review and respond to it very soon based on its national interests. Again, I'm quoting the Iranian foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi. So the timing of the visit is very interesting. And this is the first time that the United States is submitting a draft before the next round of negotiations with Iran. And the contents that I'm hearing from sources in Tehran is that the U.S. is pressing Iran to get to a decision as soon as possible. Remember that we are reaching the 60 days deadline that Donald Trump put in front of Tehran. And he said that he wanted to get a deal with Tehran in 2 months. And it also says the contents based on what the sources in Tehran have told me. The contents are about the Iranian nuclear activities mentioned in the comprehensive report written by the IAEA.
Right, Saeed, thank you very much. That's our correspondent Saeed Azimi reporting for us from Tehran.